Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is a match you absolutely will not want to miss, and if you're watching this, you're not missing it, which is great. It's Game 9 of this Royal Rumble, the penultimate match in this series, the lower bracket finals. It is a brother versus brother lower bracket blast-off battle between two of the very finest to ever play this game, Yedi and Goose. And I got to tell you, Simba, I've been looking forward to this one pretty much from the moment the last match wrapped up.
That's right. I am waiting for it. We have discovered and found our players. We have put them into the battle box, and it's about time for that Sinister Sibling Showdown, that fearsome family feud, that's biblical battling brothers. They're brothers, in case you didn't realize that.
A Sinister Showdown. That's a lot of sibilance for one statement.
All right.
But that's right. It's an excellent match. I really have been eager to watch this. I have no idea how things are going to turn out. Now, of course, the brothers, Yedi and Goose, play each other a lot.
That's
and in
true.
the process of playing each other a lot, one wonders, are they going to work to surprise each other in this? Are there any surprises that they can uncork here now that the stakes are high?
Yeah, I mean, so as we look at the bracket, this is the lower bracket final. So whoever wins this goes up against the kid. And as we heard from the interviews yesterday, Yedi was saying, my brother likes to play a lot of tricky things, and I'm his guinea pig for it. So we'll have to see whether Goose is going to go straight-lace Goose, or if he's going to show us some of those Inquisits into Inquisitors, those dastardly princess swaps with an elder. It's going to be quite fun, especially playing with their caliber. They have a lot of flexibility in which strategy that they want to go with.
That's right. The phrase is flanking lines that you don't anticipate that turn the tide of the battle. And what's even better, if you're subject to receiving a flanking line, you can yell out flanking lines and it gets your aggression out and still remains PG-13.
That's right.
But it works. I've received some flanking lines courtesy of these two brothers, and I've got to say, each time I thought, you know what? This game has a skill ceiling on it that's higher than where I am right now, and I am encountering my own limitations in this very moment. And I've got to tell you, we're going to see some incredible Imposter Kings here in a moment.
Yeah, I think so. And as we mentioned, I think Yedi is going to probably play his tried and true strong. He did change his strategy. He likes the elders a lot better. He's been throwing away oathbounds. So I think he's been able to just kind of crush the competition in terms of just playing straight Imposter Kings, analytical Imposter Kings. On the other side, we'll see what kind of hands Goose is going to get and what kind of things he decides to do with it.
That's right. So we're going to see at least one burn card that seems perplexing at first look, and then it'll end up winning the match because of we'll see like a king's hand get burned here at some point, or something that seems equally crazy, but it will not turn out to be crazy. It'll turn out to be incredible.
All right, well, let's take a look. I think we're getting started here in Imposter King Stadium. So it looks like a Goose is the person who, Yedi gets to choose who goes first, and he chose himself. They immediately both players just immediately throwing away their discards, throwing away, successoring things, and it is fast. We are going fast.
Wow, are they motoring?
Okay, just to get started here, throws an Oathbound. Goose decides to flip. His hand is a little bit weak, lower card, so he flips. Assassin reaction, King's hand. Now Goose has gotten the Assassin out of the way at the expense of an 8. But now the rest of his cards seem a little weak.
Yeah, now that's, of course, Goose at this point, that King's hand was his top card. He now has very little meat in his hand. He does have the Judge to Inquisitor combo, so he can grab tempo, and he still has the 6-1 combo, which I'm sure is what he's playing around right now.
Well, this is really good. So Yedi actually goes first, right? So Yedi's going to throw out the old, let's get rid of the 6. But this is where Goose can actually take tempo, as you mentioned. This Judge is really strong against this powerful hand. He wishes he had 3 turns. He's only got 2. So
that's exactly right.
But the other 2, so he has two royals here, 2 elders. That's great. This sentry is the thing that's really dangerous. So I think Goose needs to play his Judge. He needs to hit the Judge. Easier said than done. Gets the Judge hit. Maybe the Queen, I think, is probably likely would be in his hand. Sentry might be a good guess too. It would be really bad if Sentry was here. But he's got a pretty good array of safe guesses that he could do. He probably won't call the Zealot because the Zealot he would have called if the assassin wasn't already
He called Soldier and missed. And things are going to go downhill here immediately. It's a 3-point win for Yedi.
I wasn't
what a
even done.
dramatic first blood there.
He had to hit that judge. That's what I was saying. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. That is terrible on his side.
Wow. I mean, he was already in a deeply challenging situation, but that judge miss cooked him.
Literally,
Cooked
literally,
his goose.
literally
Goose
got
in this
it.
case.
So that's 3 points. He could have at least gotten 2 if he had dropped the judge and gotten the judge.
That's right. And
that is painful.
That is very painful. He wanted to dodge around the face down burn. Little did he know that the Soldier was the face down burn card, which meant Yedi only had 1 and got rid of it. And that right there is...
I can't believe it. I would have liked the riskier guess from him there, but I think he was trying to do a surefire thing and it just happened to blow up on him. The thing that also was bad about that is if he guessed correctly on that, then Yedi would have a good answer to the judge. Maybe that's what he was thinking. But that's just, oof. Well, there's the first game.
Boy, that one went by in a hurry. As you can tell, both of these players play extremely fast because they're extremely experienced both with the game and each other. And they're going to go right into the second hand. But the thing we talked about, mentality, Goose is not going to get shaken by this start. Not at all. So we'll see how the second hand shapes up.
Yeah, Goose is probably like, I got 7 points. Here's 3. But, I mean, that's still, it doesn't matter if you're the most rock-hard veteran. That's a tough loss to face. And I think this hand we're going to see a little bit more even. 2 royalties on one side, 2 elders on the other, and double 8s on Goose's side. I think we've seen in the tournament the double 8 side usually is the one that prevails in these types of skirmishes. I mean, depending on what the 7 is. It's actually quite nice for him to actually hold that royalty threat. Knowing where the assassin is and where the king's hand is, that's going to be really powerful for Goose. I think he's going to choose to go first. That wasn't me thinking that he was going to choose. I saw that he went first.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, you always look for combos in your initial hand. Goose has the king's hand assassin combo, which very powerful potentially here. Yedi has the Oathbound Fool combo in both royalty, but Goose plenty of countermeasures for royalty in his hand. We'll see if he keeps both elders, knowing he has the Oathbound as well. Goose, again, known to burn an elder from time to time. And he does burn one of his 2 elders. And tucks the assassin away.
I like that. So it's kind of interesting that he's going second and deciding to tuck. Yeah, I mean, sorry. I have to be honest with you. I'm still kind of feeling that. I'm not even playing the game, and I'm feeling that first blow from that first game. So here we go. Inquisitor into Inquisitor. We're doing it.
Wow.
Here's the thing we're talking about.
Right there leads off with the...
So this is the gambit. What he's doing here is he's saying, hey, I need you to guess your assassin right now. And if you don't, I might still have it in my hand, and you've gotten rid of one of your tools to getting rid of the assassin.
That's right. And Yedi only has one other tool. That would be the Mystic, so which can open up all sorts of plays. Yedi goes ahead and calls it. Nothing happens. Oof. So now, if you're Goose, do you flip on that? You do. You sure as heck do.
Yeah, he's...
And so here comes the assassin. Now, Yedi might just go ahead and blow away the 2s. No, because he knows the king's hand is still there.
You know what's really funny here is actually what you'd want to do, I think, on Yedi's side is hit the Mystics on the 6s, and then Goose has no way to win.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, he would get the king's hand, obviously, but it's a strong play, and now if Yedi sets up for that, if he gets a 6 to a 7, then he can do that. I'm not sure if Goose actually knows this, but I mean, if he's thinking about that line, but that's actually going to be devastating for him. If Goose plays something higher than a 7 or 6, then Yedi can do Oathbound into Mystic, hit the 6s, and then or hit the 3s even. Probably a smarter bet, and then just drop his royalty.
Well, that's likely. Although if you're Goose, you think I've got a sentry play. Perhaps I can pick whatever.
He's got a winning line right here. Yedi's got a winning line right here.
Yep. All right. Plays the Warlord. Goose now.
That's another 3 points if he actually pulls off this line.
Yep. Okay.
Goes with the Queen.
Yep. All right. Then elders it. So.
I guess he's not committing to that line that I was talking about, but he is testing it right now.
All right, so drops the okay.
But this is the problem. Now he has lost that. Did he choose to use it? No ability. So now he's lost it. This is a 5-point swing hand.
Yeah. Well, let's see how the moments play. So Goose here has to do a 6 Oathbound into something.
He knows that. He should get the... He should... So... Oh, well, yeah. So if he does an Oathbound into Sentry, uses the Sentry's ability, he gets out. Wait. No, because even if he King's Hands it, the Oathbound will play.
Yeah, that's right.
So
there we go. Oathbound likely in the Sentry. He's going to want to keep the King's Hand for an attempt on the Assassin with the Mystic, I would guess.
Yeah. So it's not as cut and dry as I was saying, which is good. On Yeti's side, he could have again gotten that 3-point line. That would have been super greedy. Again, we're talking knowing everything in everyone's hands, but it's fun to see that the potential was there for a 6-0 start.
He does play the Sentry with the ability, and then
what does he take though?
Yeah, I'm intensely curious now. I was not anticipating him to use the ability there. I would guess that he was anticipating that Yedi would 6-7 on that, which is one potential line.
Yeah. So he was going to 6-7 the Assassin, but I don't know what he's going to swap into. This is...
Well, does he bail out and chuck the Assassin?
Yeah, I mean, he has to.
Yeah,
I think he has to.
Yeah, I
he's got to get a king flip at this point.
Yeah, that's right. So he gets the Oathbound back. So now Yedi has a curious situation brewing here. He could Mystic something.
Mysticking would do nothing. I think at this point Goose is committed to a 1-point loss if he can get the flip, which he can by just playing the cards normally. I think so. All the lines are start with the Oathbound. He plays his Oathbound, plays his Mystic, plays the King's Hand, flip. You got Mystic. He plays the King's Hand. He flips. You've got he plays the Mystic, calls out sixes. So he just goes with the flip
right there.
He just goes straight flip. And funny enough, this is I mean, there's only one way Yedi can lose, and it's if he plays it extremely strangely.
Yeah, again, right now, Goose with initiative. If Goose just plays his Oathbound, as he just did, Yedi will either have to play just a straight Oathbound or his Mystic. Even if he Mystics 8s, again, it won't do anything. So Goose guaranteed a 1-point loss at this point. Just plays the Mystic. Goose plays the King's Hand. Oathbound into Fool. I wonder what. Yeah, picks up the Queen just as punctuation.
Grabs the Queen. That's his thing.
And so Yedi with another win. That time a 1-point win. And now Yedi's one hand away.
Yeah, just like that. I mean, it feels like we just started. Maybe he's making up for his delay. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say which player we were looking for, but... All right. So, I mean, like, this is it right here, right? So he plays with an aggressive Inquisitor. It actually works, and he flips. Now, the flip is somewhat scary, but I think this is the part where, okay... as I mentioned, Goose has to play something lower than a 7, otherwise he risks the Mystic for the Assassin, right? So he does play this, and at this point, as I was mentioning, he has a line to victory here. If Yedi plays the Oathbound into Mystic, calls out the 3s, or calls out the 6s, then at that point, Yedi can just pelt him with all the royalty he's got in the world.
Yep, that's right.
And so I think this is the pivotal moment. And I think when he started testing it here, it was close, but now he's lost too many cards. And at this point, as we saw, he got away with 1 point, and he's really lucky to get away with 1 point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're playing with perfect knowledge again. And so, he doesn't know that Goose burned one of the elders. You might suspect from Goose's patterns.
Even if he burned one of the elders, if he did the Oathbound into Mystic hits 3s, that still would have done the.
Well, he get King's Hand. Well, Oathbound and Mystic.
Oathbound, I'm telling you, I got.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's.
So, but anyways, I mean, I think the point is that there's a lot of information here. Even with this hand, everyone kind of has a different way of kind of perceiving how they would play it, and so. Let's go ahead and see what's next for our contestants. We've got Yeti's got kind of an interesting hand, middle of the order. He's got the Fool and he's got the Princess. And Goose, on the other hand, has quite high value. Sentry's burned. One of the elders is gone to both players' knowledge. This is a really strong hand for Goose, and I think he's got to nail a 3-pointer here if he can.
I think Goose would be smelling blood with his hand. Again, he's got the Assassin King's Hand combo, except this time He has the Mystic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeti's got double Inquisitor to fight that assassin, but I think Goose does have a stronger hand. He tucks away the assassin, perhaps daring at least one Inquisitor miss, and that throws away the Zealot, not likely to be needed given the beef he's got in his hand. And Goose does pick Yedi to go first. I think presumably daring him to go assassin to lead things off with the Inquisitor.
I mean, and he definitely can for free. The thing that's interesting here is I think Goose is evaluating Princess in Yeti's hand, and it's really powerful to have a Princess if you're going second. Because at that point, you can swap any card you want from your hand and give them a useless card at the end of the game.
Yep.
That's one part of it. The second part of it is obviously the Fool, making sure that if Yeti nails the Fool, he's just going to be one card ahead rather than two. And then finally... one thing to consider here is we've got double Inquisitors, double Oathbound. I mean, I think, Yeti might be thinking about a mulligan. I would not certainly hope he does that because I think this is definitely a 2-point winnable hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot of tools in this hand to potentially still win. And, from an assassination standpoint, you can always go 6-4 into an unking's handable Inquisitor. So, you have a lot of options there. There are certainly lines that will result in victory here. Throws away his Elder, not a surprise when you have double Oathbound, as Yeti does, and only one royalty that's out there. But we'll see what he successors here. Again, when you might be going up against an assassin, successorizing becomes a very critical...
Well, if he's going to Inquisit first for an assassin, a lot of players like to tuck away their Princess because then it's like, okay, I'm going to flip once I know you don't have an assassin. One other play is that you Inquisit the assassin, you don't hit, and then you keep your other one around to hit with it again. Again, the risk of that being that... goes straight with 6. Starts with the 6.
Starts with the Oathbound.
I like this a lot. He has 2 Oathbounds. Usually, he was saying he was talking about how he threw away an Oathbound last game because he was like 2 6s are too much. In this case, you're just putting out a power card negating the 5s.
And it's smart play. Again, Goose has to play around the presence of those Inquisitors right now. And so...
Oh, one thing to note, by the way, since he tucked away the assassin, now there's only a 2-point max victory for Goose for the assassin victory condition.
If he goes assassin path.
Correct.
Yeah. And one other critical thing to note, for that Princess, Goose has 2 options for it, a King flip and the Queen. So if he uses up the King flip prior to the Princess's emergence, he has to use the Queen on the Princess. So he loses some hand flexibility there. He goes with the Warlord just to lay down a 7.
That's scarier than you think, right? You're saying if... with double Inquisitors over here, if Mr. Inquisitor decides to ask for the Queen to present herself, then...
Yeah, it could be challenging. Now you can't use your King flip at your leisure, especially with the setup. So, all right. Yeti Oathbounds over the Warlord, 6-4 in the Assassin and misses.
Wow. Oh, my. That is such a gamble. So he played 2 cards to
and
get
there's
that.
The flip in response. Now Yeti has to know the Assassin is there. He does get to pick up. He gets free Fool
He's
play.
got another Oathbound Inquisitor lined up.
He sure does.
Goose has to know this, and now should be able to react accordingly.
He can Mystic
Oathbounds is the only way. Is the only way because otherwise, if he plays his Princess, Goose will have to play his Queen, and then he can do a free Oathbound Inquisitor.
Yeah, well, he could Mystic Oathbounds. He can also Mystic the Inquisitor. It depends on what he wants to do. He does Mystic the Inquisitor. So 4's wiped. And
why that versus the
given Goose's hand, yeah, it seems unlikely that he would have been able to ever play that Inquisitor without the Oathbound's help.
Yeah, it's giving more flexibility to play the. Maybe he doesn't want to use his King's hand on the Inquisitor. That works too.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this is a tough situation for Yeti. He's gonna have to play some shenanigans. Oh, okay. One other benefit of actually doing this is that now when he still has his King's hand for the Princess swap.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I see.
He plays straight 6.
I see what he's doing. I get it. I'm smart too.
And now
there's that.
And just plays. Now he doesn't have to worry about keeping the King's hand. He's played as an 8 for Yeti now.
Yeti has to play his Princess.
He knows the assassin is there.
Swaps, and then it's done.
Swaps, gets probably Soldier back, and he is in deep trouble.
He gets that 2-point hand. So
that's right.
Let's get started. I guess Goose is starting up the engine here.
That's right. Well, again, Goose had a good hand and is playing it exactly the way it needed to be played, which again is all mentality, right? A lot of players, after the way that first hand went, would tilt. And Goose is not going to tilt on that and is going to fight his way back into this match. So Yedi.
The other thing that was really interesting is that Goose calling out. Sorry, I have to keep going back to this Mystic. He called out the 4 again. He didn't know he had a second 4 as well.
It's true. It
but he knew that he had an Oathbound. So it's crazy to me. I mean, he's not wrong. It's just crazy to me. He's playing it real fast and he's understanding the situation. The assassin gets tossed in. That's 2 points.
Assassination happens. Goose wins the hand. It's a 2-point win. Yedi will be the true king and Goose back in the match.
That's right. And as I was mentioning, I think key pivotal play here, he decides to go with Oathbound first. I love this play normally. The issue with it, and it jumps over this judge soldier. But the problem is that he's already behind on hand.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like okay, cool. I like the Warlord pick here because that Mystic does come and play later. But this Oathbound Fool, in Oathbound Inquisitor, this is so many resources committed to getting the Assassin. He's calling a hard read here. And it didn't work out for him. If he gets the Assassin here, that's a lot of cool stuff for Yedi. But the fact that he misses here, I think his idea here is exactly what happened, which is if he misses and Goose decides to pick it up, he can just pick up his Oathbound and get a couple extra more space. But again, hand size 5 versus 3.
Yeah, the wind is blowing heavily into your face at that point if you're Yedi. And so, all right, Goose with the 2-point win. As we advance now into what will be the 4th hand of a match that is just flying by.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's flying by, but both players are just kind of slugging each other. It's funny because I think Yedi normally is the analytical, I'm going to think a while player. But when he's playing with his brother right now, I feel like they're just like, just like siblings. They're just hitting each other.
Punching each other in the arm. Interesting set of hands this time. Yedi gets to choose who goes first this time around. Yedi's got the upper mid-range on lock, both 8s. It's got the Warlord. There is no Queen in this, which will cause mayhem in terms of how both players play because they don't know that. Goose has got the Assassin and the Fool, but doesn't necessarily have the card to go with the Fool. As for the Assassin, Yedi has to know he has no countermeasures besides the King's Hand for that Assassin. So that King's Hand is going to have a big bullseye on it as far as Goose and those Inquisitors go.
Yep. And as you mentioned, the Queen being thrown away, really tough for Goose more so, especially if he has to go first. Although he does have that double Inquisitor. Yedi could potentially think about battering up. I think the thing that's tough here is that he doesn't have any utility. He has lots of utility, but he doesn't have any things to like combo with it. He's got a flip potential here, but again, he's got... okay, so Yedi decides to go first.
I think Goose might throw his Fool away here. It wouldn't surprise me.
You don't want to keep both the Assassin and the Fool because both of them kind of rely on your opponent to flip.
There he does. He does throw it away.
That makes sense. S-tier card according to some. So,
if it has the right context,
backup,
yeah. And tucks away the Zealot and leaves the Assassin out. He has nothing to fear there. So, all right, we'll see if Yedi goes with a battery start. Again, the battery's win percentage has not been great in this tournament. It's
not terrible right now for him. I mean, Goose kept, I feel like he kept his soldier for this specific case. So now he can play his soldier, get some information, potentially disgrace a couple things.
Yeah, disgrace a card so he can use his
Mystic.
So
that's really nice for him because Mysticking the 8s right now is, I wouldn't say it's death sentence, but it's pretty dire for Yedi. So he gets the King's Hand, guesses correctly, will likely disgrace that judge.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
And now even if Yedi nails his thing, the Mystic is coming.
Yeah, that Mystic is almost certainly going to be. We'll see.
He did the thing again. He threw away his Oathbound for
a second. Yeah, to keep an Elder.
Killing me, man.
Now that Elder will have utility here because Goose does have the Princess. And remember, as far as Yedi knows, Goose has both royalty cards.
Correct.
So
because the Queen has been chucked. So. I mean, not chucked. She's been discarded. She's been just thrown out of the kingdom.
That's right. Ignominiously, without fanfare. So Goose now, we anticipate, will go, as he did, Mystic the Eights. And
will likely be king's handed, right?
it'll be king's handed. That really serves Goose's purpose. He doesn't care so much about the Sentry. It's the king's hand he really wants to take out of commission. Although he does have one small problem, which is he still has to play on that 5.
Yes. Well, it is, yeah. And the funny thing is that it's this new rule or not new rule, but it's a lot of people didn't used to play against the soldier, but once something gets king's handed on top of it, it goes back to reverting to a 5. Still not enough for Goose here. So again, now Goose has to rely on the fact that Yedi does not know that he doesn't have the queen.
Yeah, and we'll play differently as a result of that. Because he has a zealot and the princess, but he only has 2 cards that can play on what's in Yeti's hand.
Starting to put the pressure on. I think this is really, Goose has a really powerful position here. He goes with the zealot here, and that stops the oathbound play. It's really interesting because now he can do a clean princess swap.
Yeah, so he's going to trot the princess out here and trade one of his inquisitors for a warlord.
There's another 2-point hand.
And boom, out comes the assassination. And just like that, Goose has tied it up 4-4.
It doesn't feel good to get assassinated, let me tell you.
Yeah, especially in back-to-back hands.
Yeah.
And Goose again played that to perfection. You saw the advantages that he had, did not let up the pressure. And believe me, this is a hand you can lose with. I certainly have lost with hands about the same.
You mean Goose?
Yeah.
Goose, I think Goose, let's go back to the starting hand. I think this is a losing hand for Goose.
Yeah, you absolutely can lose with this hand. Yeah.
That's what you mean. It's
this is definitely a hand you can lose with.
You can lose with this hand is what Dan is trying to say, is that lesser mortals like ourselves.
That's right, would lose with this hand constantly. But Goose, even against Yedi playing very well, found a way.
Yeah, and again, battery not working as intended. I think it's because Goose had that counter battery. And this is actually really strong. This is the subtle point of the game where Goose is now playing. This is really smart. So what are Yeti's counters to the assassin? It's the king's hand.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it.
So here he comes. He hits with the counter soldier, able to disgrace. Soldier hits. He asked, by the way, king's hand, that was what made him know that for a fact that he's going to hit the 8s successfully.
Yep.
And so in this case, he hits the 8s. If Yedi decides the king's hand, it goes away. If Yedi doesn't do it, he still gets nullified. But the point is that at this point, you are now in a lot of trouble with Yedi.
Yep.
So it's just the battery, again, not doing what it's intending to do because of the fact that Goose saved that soldier. I think I would have been tempted to maybe even keep this full, be super greedy that way. This soldier saved all you soldier haters.
Yeah.
This soldier here, I'm gonna bookmark this. What is this? 74. I'm gonna send this to the biggest hater there are out there for the soldier, because this is.
Now, you may do that. I want to point out again that the battery, half of that is the soldier, and the battery is the kiss of death, because again, it means oftentimes you're using that because it's the best you can do, but it's not the right tool for the job.
He had much higher hand here, and I think that battery was a not the great decision, but I think it's really good that Goose was able to capitalize on it. Again, Goose would not have been able to win this hand if he did not get that soldier hit.
That's right. All right. Well, there you have it. It's knotted up at 4, which means both players.
These are great hands.
Both players are 1 3-point hand away from the finals. So
yeah. And do we have one? We got what is it? Two royalty and an assassin. On the other side, we have an elder oathbound. So elder oathbound on one side. So it's not close to Exodia. But these 2 8s and a 7, ooh, this is
a really interesting, spicy hand. So
it's a spicy hand.
The fool is out, and the lines are all scrambled here. You've got the assassin not comboed with the king's hand. You got the fool out entirely.
Neither player realizes that, and now everyone's been playing a lot around the fool. This is going to be a crazy hand.
Yeah, you got Goose with the double 8s. You've got Yedi, who's got good utility, both royalty cards.
Yedi decides that Goose goes first. Do you think you're gonna see the? Okay, I wonder how this is fascinating.
Now Goose generally has had the assassin in this match. I think this is the first hand Yedi's had the assassin. Yedi's gonna tuck it. Goose is going first. Has a judge and the inquisitor. Do you see a standard 5-4 lead off, and do you see Goose trying to go for the assassin here?
I actually think the battery Battery fan over here. I think the battery is actually not super bad here because you enable the Warlord and you're forcing Yedi to play, because you know that Yedi's got a barbell hand. So I think the old battery is actually not as bad as it seems here.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, Goose may check to see if there's an assassin right away with the judge. But I could also
I don't think you don't worry about it because of the king's hand.
Yeah, or he might go 5, maybe 5-4 into pulling something else, maybe a royalty card.
Man, you know what I would have really liked to see, but we'll see what they're going to do. As a judge, soldier, and then disgrace everything.
Yeah, it's possible. Now,
but not he's throwing away
an elder means he's not going to 5-4 into a royalty card. Correct. But he does guess queen.
Okay.
And there we go. Inquisitor emerges, so it's going to be 5-4 start for Goose.
Yedi keeping... Oh, you know what? He's probably trying to get the queen so he can then flip to prevent full play. He's also enabling his Warlord, as we said.
That's right. So, all right.
I like this a lot. This is actually a strong line for Goose. He's going to Inquisit the queen, flip, and then be able to kind of coast slowly into a 6-4 lead potentially.
Yeah, and flipping, I mean, Yedi might be considering doing a flip here, but, well, that would be silly to give up.
No, because then you get the assassin would get out.
But the assassin kind of takes the spot of the queen. Yeah.
Yedi knows what's going on here, and he's kept a soldier, which could help him here, but that line is very powerful from Goose.
Interesting. So Yedi thinking this over. So the fact that he's taking this line to think about it, I think he
might flip.
Thinking about a flip because, make him guess your assassin.
Instead of your...
Yeah, you suspect he has the king's hand anyway. Interesting. He says princess. You think he's playing a mind game there with that?
I think he just doesn't see any value of it becoming a 7 or disgracing anything. So here we go. Goose is going to ignore it. Pull the queen. He's got his plan. He's going to flip.
He's
going to pick up the elder. No assassination.
Oh, boy. And if Yedi had the fool, which Goose suspects that he might, nothing to pick up with the fool.
Correct. Super strong start for Goose, and now he can just kind of pummel him. That Zealot is annoying, I gotta say. And Yedi's got a bunch of survivable cards, so I don't actually know how this is going to evaluate. He's got that princess as well, which is he can use the princess to swap away something that's useless, which is
his assassin right now. Yeah, so
I think you Inquisit here and you pull something, but he goes straight to the flip.
He flips on a blank.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Don't know why he's keeping his Inquisitor.
Could it be that was because he was afraid of giving anything for Goose to fool up? To flip on a blank there?
Maybe. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. It's just, both players played around the fool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was a lot of effort put into making sure there's nothing for the fool to pick up. And the fool is laughing in his cavern, the pit where
he's in a cavern.
Yeah.
He can't Zealot until he flips his king too, but I was going to say the king's hand, so the Inquisitor on the king's hand would have been really strong just because then he can freely use his princess's ability.
So now things are very interesting indeed. I think Goose has a stronger situation, but I think this hand could still go either way. There are lines of victory for both players.
There's a lot of utility on both players. So, I think that Mystic is going to be pretty important. He cannot hit 3s because then he'll doom himself. I guess he's got an Oathbound. But again, he can't doom an Oathbound. It's like almost a mirror match with slightly different cards. Obviously, the Assassin is useless until the end.
Yeah, right now, Yeti's just got to think it's trade
No
bait.
ability. Here we go.
So 8 now.
Now he's saying use your Zealot, use your Oathbound, use your Princess. Those are the 3 cards.
That's right. Now, again, not likely to... You can't swap away that Assassin as long as the King's Hand is unaccounted for. Yeti does have card advantage. He'd lose it if he uses the Oathbound.
Oh, yeah. I think what's going to happen here is that Yeti's going to play a Zealot. That's the standard line. And then Goose, if he plays the Oathbound, that's really powerful. Yeah. Because then he just draws out the other Oathbound, and then he's got a Mystic to force the Princess. So, yep. So, here we go. Now we're expecting probably an Oathbound here, if I was to guess. He could also use the Mystic's ability, but I doubt he will. Especially now since both players still could think that the Fool is out. Could he accidentally Mystic 1? I don't think so. Because he doesn't have to ever use any abilities here. So So there's no more abilities that would allow the Fool to be played except for that Mystic. So he's probably not going to use the Mystic for its ability.
Yep. So
he went with the Mystic instead of the Oathbound. That's interesting.
7. So now Yedi could do 6-2 to get rid of his assassin. He could do 6-4 to try to pull King's Hand.
That's a rough call. I mean, you don't want to give up that card advantage that he has. So I think that's...
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think both players know that the other doesn't have the Fool. So you have a pretty darn good sense what's in your opponent's hand.
If there was one card less, Yedi could have done an Oathbound into Princess for a swap. That's the hardcore play.
All right.
But he's going to do an
Oathbound into the Inquisitor to get the Elder. There we go. All right. And now, will he drop a 9?
He has to drop the Princess. If she uses the ability, he King's Hands it. If he doesn't, he's got the Oathbound into...
That's going to be 6-8, and Yeti's stuck with the Assassin. It's 6-4 now, Goose. 2-point victory there.
King's Hand, I was telling you, this King's Hand was the looming threat for Yedi. I mean, that was this setup right here. Everyone take a screenshot, play it at home. This one's like a really tough situation for both sides. I think, again, as I was mentioning, him not knowing that the Fool was thrown away, if he had just gotten that King's Hand out, I think he would have been in a lot stronger position.
Yeah, that King's Hand is what prevented him. Ultimately, with the way these hands are set up, the person stuck with the Assassin was going to lose.
Correct.
And
hot potato.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why Yedi couldn't stick Goose with it is because he couldn't get the King's Hand out of Goose's hand, and that's what decided this one.
So if he 6-4'd and called the King's Hand here, King's Hand would have come out. He played the Princess, swaps. Hold on. So let me actually think about this. If he 6-4s, imagine this being an 8 instead. 8 gets played. So this is an 8.
Yep.
I can't really do mental math. So if you calls a swap here, then he would give either an Elder or an Oathbound for the Assassin, and that would have been much better for Yedi. So I think there's a missed line here. He should have called out the King's Hand.
Yeah, I think he had to go for the King's Hand there.
Yeah.
But, well, there you have it. Goose down 4-0, storms back with 3 straight hand victories.
So he plays the Princess. He plays the Elder here. And then Goose has... Gotcha. Yeah, I think...
You got to post this one in the puzzle room in the
I
Discord.
guess so. This is...
For those of you watching who are not in the Imposter Kings Discord, we'll post the link. There you go. Goose now 1 point away from a rematch for all the marbles.
That's right.
And we'll get into what all the marbles are when the match is over, because there
some
are prizes.
We'll show some marbles
on the table. So 6-4. Another really interesting hand.
Oh man, Assassin's out. Both players see that. Princess is out. No other player sees that.
Oh my.
So Yeti's probably thinking this is a battle. And then Goose is like, this is a terrible situation.
Goose might be looking at his hand and maybe thinking mulligan. Yeti's looking at his hand and thinking, this is going to be a fight. I think, given the 6-4 situation, do you think Goose would mulligan this?
I don't know, to be honest. I think the key for Goose is to say, hey, does Yedi have a chance for me to instantly lose? The irony behind it is that he does have Exodia almost, except for an Elder.
Yeah.
So I think Goose is going to probably mulligan this just because he suspects he has the Princess. Then it's just going to be a one done type of situation. So.
Yeah, I think that's right. Again, it is very close to Exodia, and the only reason why they think he's not that close is because the Princess isn't in the match at all. So. Yeah. Goose is probably thinking this one over. Again, they both no mulligans yet this match.
We can't hear their voices. Maybe he's trying to bully his brother into mulliganing. Hey man, you don't want to mess with this big hand.
Yeah. And there's one other thing. So
I mean, again, by the way, we have an omniscience. If looking at the hand with knowing what this card is, I think Goose has not a bad hand.
Yeah, actually, with what is actually available, he's not in horrible shape. Here's the thing, though. If Goose mulligans, it's 6-4. Even if the golden rule of Imposter Kings holds out, which is if you mulligan a marginal hand, you're guaranteed to get a worse one. He can mulligan that and still stay alive because it'll be a 6-6 match at that point.
And Yedi has his too, so that's the other thing to keep in mind.
That's right. So Goose really thinking this one over
Mm-hmm.
About whether to chuck it or not. Having a king
Again, it just really comes down to Goose thinking, can he win on a 3-point? Because you don't want to lose your entire tournament run because of that, right?
because you thought you could get efficient. Yeah, when you don't ever want to die with water in your canteen. That's a horrible feeling.
Lots of analogies coming out here.
Yeah, that's it. That one comes up a lot because when you got a mulligan, if you lose a match, especially in a 3-point hand up 6-4 with a mulligan, still unused, that is a bad feeling.
Yeah.
That sticks with you.
Yeah, and Yeti has an Inquisitor as well. It's just like, is it worth it? So he doesn't have a sentry. Like Goose doesn't have very many tools here. I think Goose. I mean, if Goose decides to, so Yeti decides that Yeti goes first before Goose decides to mulligan. So he finally indicates that he's going first. This is, I think, for sure a mulligan because now he has initiative too. You have to essentially hit something powerful in their hand and be able to pick it up with the Fool. that's essentially it. And they have the Queen. I mean, come on.
That's right. Now Yeti
throws away
moving fast, threw away the Inquisitor. He's got the Zealot tucked away. Goose still mulling over whether to even play this hand.
Man. If this is a professional sport, I feel like Goose's coach would probably resign within game 5. Like this stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
He is playing
intense.
some risky stuff that
he's going to play.
No, Goose.
He's going to play.
You crazy person. You are crazy.
All right. Yep. He's going out there with water in his canteen. Will he survive this? We'll see. Again, we talked about the fact that given that the princess is not actually in this match, unbeknownst to the players, he's actually not in a terrible position with this hand, but it is so gutsy to play this not knowing that. So we'll see.
Why am I nervous for Goose? Like, this is so crazy. I never thought I'd feel so... I've never in the spectators booth had to think that I'd be nervous. He tucks away his king's hand.
He puts the king's hand away, not knowing that there are no Inquisitors to even hunt for it.
You think he's going to start with a 6? Yeah, there we go. There's
so, all right, 6. Yeti leads with the 6. And, boy, what is Goose playing this? He only has 2 options. He can either use his Mystic, or he can king flip. Interesting. That was a really nice play by Yeti to just put numbers pressure.
He showed it earlier, too, that he has this, right? And now Goose is going to keep playing the part. Warlord is actually nice for Goose to see come out because now he knows that same thing that happened to Vilau won't happen to him.
Yeah, now this...
Meaning the double royalty into a Warlord.
Yeah, I mean, but it's still pretty...
shaky?
Desperate, because if you look at the hand state, so Goose king flips, let's say. Mm-hmm. Then Yeti just plays a Warlord. Well, only option Goose has is to use the king's hand.
Hold on, Yeti still has to play on this though, so he's gonna lose. Right, he's gonna lose one of those top value cards, which is good for Goose. What's also not good for Goose is a princess. Sorry, the queen. The queen is an anti-fool card.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Now Yeti's pondering all of the implications of
it's
all.
What is happening right now?
Yeah. If Yeti goes, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Warlord here. Just as a.
We'll have to ask if.
Sentry. If
they're actually seeing or talking to each other, because he might. Oh, he's keeping that Warlord for that queen. That's
the king flip.
This is it. He actually wins here.
Yeah, there's a very easy winning line because
queen into Warlord, you win.
That's exactly right.
That's a 3-point.
But
he doesn't do it.
Not what he did because he doesn't know the princess is out.
Of course, yeah. So again, we're saying dumb stuff because we don't know all the implications. He still has that though.
So there's the queen. It's got to be the elder. It's still just Warlord play ends match.
Is he gonna hold on to it? Thinking he might have the princess? He's debating it. Oh my gosh, why am I sweating? What is happening?
Oh my gosh. I mean, if Yedi lays down the
He
Warlord...
can't flip. If he flips, he gives him the queen. He has to play the Warlord.
You got to play the Warlord here. That would win the match. It's a trip to the
With
finals
the
if he plays it.
Water in the canteen, as you mentioned.
With water in Goose's canteen, he will be found in the desert. Oh my.
You can't flip.
I guess the question is, if you're Yedi, why would you flip on this?
Because he wants to save the Warlord for insta win after the queen the princess is played. Maybe he's just going through all the lines.
Going through all the lines, making sure he doesn't make a mistake here. Sensible to take the time.
And this all stemmed because of the fact that he saved his Warlord.
That's right.
Very smart.
There it is. That's it. Yedi wins a 3-point win to sneak this one out from under his brother, 7-6.
Woo.
Goose goes down with a mulligan in hand, having played a marginal hand in the final match. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. What an incredible match. Oh my god, it's always great between these two. So many tough puzzles here. Oh my gosh, what a match. There are going to be a lot of second thoughts about how this one went down if you're Goose on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that let's go ahead and head back over. I mean, oh boy, that was a match. There's a lot of hands there that I think really could have gone either way. I think water in the canteen, I always appreciate someone going for it, and even I was kind of taken aback that he did.
Yeah, I mean, especially not knowing there wasn't a princess out there. There just wasn't a lot of survivability in that hand.
Mm-hmm.
And, props to Yedi for just taking the numbers and, clapping Goose with those numbers until he won the match with the 3-point win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was quite... Wow, I'm still speechless. I mean, it was quite a situation where Goose, in a lot of those hands, actually had no answers, but was playing around the fact that he could potentially have an answer. And it worked for him in a lot of things when he was clawing back up, when he got to that 6-4. But then he, it all comes down to that last match. I mean, it's just, if you don't mulligan that hand, there's a chance that he's going to find a way to attack you, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, that hand had a big variance between going first and not going first. That hand is actually, especially with the princess out, not terrible if you are going first and can control tempo, use your judge into an inquisitor, and basically play your opponent's hand for a while. But he didn't go first, and thus all the lack of survivability in that hand really came out to the point where he just didn't have many options. And he just got back in the corner, and that was that. And I got to tell you, again, we saw some incredible Imposter Kings. It does mean this won't be a rematch. We're going to have the Kid versus Yedi, and boy, there could potentially be a new true king.
That's right.
When this tournament is over.
Well, let's go ahead and pull Goose. I'll wait until he's here before I say, wait until we can pull in. Hold on for this. The former true king. Goose, tell us how you feel.
Huh?
Tell us how you feel.
I feel like all the mulligans that I've seen has always led to a bad outcome, which made me not want to mulligan. He wanted to go first, so I thought he was going to inquisit. So I was like, how do I make him miss his inquisit? Like, my idea with this hand is it's like, all right, he's going to start off with Inquisitor, and then he'll miss it, and then I can judge Inquisit into something else, and, like, I can maybe outlast him, like, at least get him to flip his king, and then I'd still have another mulligan. But yeah, I was... looking back, I probably should have just mulliganed it, but obviously it's easier... It's easier to say after I've already lost it.
Goose, you played a hell of a match. There was a lot. I was saying to Dan, and it's kind of true. I mean, it's hot here in Seattle, but for some reason, this is the first time in the spectators booth I've been sweating on behalf of a player. Pretty much that entire match, starting with the first one where you immediately lost 3.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
So tell me, what was your mentality while that was happening?
Let me.
So he came back with a quick 4-0 at the beginning, and then you started clawing your way back.
Let's see. So he played Oathbound. Yeah, I think uh I don't know. I'd have to look back at the hand if you have the replay available.
Yeah, sure.
Like, do you have the yeah. Do you have that? And then I can go through the hands for you.
Let me send you a quick little replay here. Just for that first hand, we can just go through it real fast.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
I
sorry.
don't know why.
Well, while Simbu's doing that, yeah, I mean, we were talking about the mentality, and it was amazing how starting down 4-0, it was just immaculate play to claw back to being up 6-4. You know, especially with a couple of hands that themselves were not strong hands at the deal, but you're really strong at finding a way to take what those hands could do well and controlling the tempo on that. When you got the 6-4, especially that hand that got you to 6, did you feel like you had the advantage in this one, that you're headed to a win?
Oh, for sure. Like when it was 6-4, like as once I won that hand, I was like, okay, we're doing pretty good. I literally just had to win a 1 point hand. Like that's not that's a lot of pressure on him. So I didn't feel as pressured. And then I got the hand and I was like, is it a 3 point hand? And I was nervous because I always feel nervous. I always like having like one elder and one oathbound. And the fact that I only had one elder will actually probably help me. But not having an oathbound as well to pair with the fool, I was like, oh, like I don't want to play it, but I don't want to get a worse hand than this, which is.
I mean, so you had a mulligan and then you had another mulligan, but he also had a mulligan, which means that he could have counter mulligan. So there's a little bit of shenaniganry there. So Goose, you've won tournaments before, so you've got a True Kings shirt already. You've already got the title. But as a third place victor, I wanted to just show you what you're going to come home with. So here is...
Let's go.
This is Michael Hirschon artwork, obviously. You get the True King edition too here. So this is the crown.
Yes.
So there's going to be a future Kickstarter soon, and people can have limited edition, but you've earned yours already, so you don't need to. You're going to go into one of the higher tier Kickstarter rewards, obviously, spend more money in order to support the game. So, but this is what's coming your way, and luckily for me, you guys live next to each other, so I'm only going to send it to one of you, and then you have to go
to the other.
Think of how much you're saving on shipping,
right?
Amazing.
So yeah. Anyways, Goose, lots of hands, lots of great hands for us to actually analyze. As I mentioned, I was sweating through all of them.
I mean, one of the things for that, the hand that went from 4-4 to 6-4, when you both flipped, you each had 5 cards. We were gonna probably post that in the puzzles room in this Discord, because
that's on the 4-4 hand, in case you're curious. So like number 74 on the replay. So you guys had basically a standoff at the end here, and hold on, let me actually pull it up. The standoff was, you guys had, he had a zealot, inquisitor, oathbound, princess, assassin. So this is step 109. The fool was thrown away. You guys both played around the fool, and I think his flip was because he was playing around the fool, which is funny because the fool was thrown away. That was one avenue of his way to win, is actually inquisiting your king's hand. The second thing is that actually later on in that hand with that lineup, he oathbound into inquisited and actually pulled an elder. I think if he pulled your king's hand, then he could have princess swapped and won. Did you remember that at all, or did you have any thoughts around that?
I was well, he would have won the hand. So like, yeah, but so not the battle. He would have pulled the inquisitor, or with the inquisitor he could have pulled the king's hand, play the princess, and then swapped the assassin to me.
And then you would oathbound into assassin.
And then I would oathbound assassin, and then he could just play the elder on it. But he probably didn't do that because he was afraid that he would end up with a fool. So if he does do that, then suddenly his one is being beat by a two, and
Yeah.
that doesn't feel great at
Always
the end
fun.
either.
All right, Goose.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining the tournament, for entertaining us, for all the new lines, all the new stuff, all the new tech. I'm gonna probably call you after this so we can talk through everything, but because these lines were crazy. Yeah, great games, and kudos to you.
Can I give a huge shout out to Hash for all the work he's done, because like I've not gotten to play this much Imposter Kings.
That's true. You're
like,
playing it all
this
the
is
time.
the most that I've gotten to play ever since, and it's nice that it's like wherever I'm going, like if my fiance's bring me to Target, I'm like, hey, anybody want to play Imposter Kings while I'm like walking around Target?
And then he would like win like 7-0 while you were like frantically like staring at the screen, like sweating. Hash is the person who implemented the web client that we were using Imposter Kings for. So fantastic developer, absolutely charming individual, and a pleasure to work with. So make sure everyone thanks the hash in the chat, in the comments.
Hash is in the chat.
But is there anyone else or anything else that you want to say before we bid you adieu?
No, I appreciate you guys so much. The tournament's been great. Looking forward to the next one already.
Well, thank you, Goose. Congrats again. Fantastic tonight. And for in the Olympics, this is now an Olympic event as well because it's happening at the same time. I've got a bronze medal headed your way in the form of a play mat with some awesome art on it. And thank you again. Just so well played throughout the whole tournament. Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
Bonne nuit.
Bonne nuit.
Yeah. All right. Always a fun person to have on. And now we can bring in our winner of the match. Yedi. Hello. Congratulations. You're I feel like I just saw you, 24 hours ago. How are you feeling?
I don't know what you're talking about. That game felt like it took days. I'm so...
Was it stressful for you too?
Yeah, a wee bit. I feel like normally I don't live up to you calling my playstyle aggressive. I feel like here I definitely did.
You guys were punching. Each other.
And right? Kicking and spitting
and spitting. The leather flew. This one obviously was a very swingy match, and so. You jumped out to a big lead very quickly, 3-point hand in what felt like 10 seconds to start things off. We're up 4-0. Take us through that a little bit. Did you feel like you'd grabbed initiative, that you were going to cruise from there, or how were you feeling when it was 4-zip?
It's very interesting because I've played against my brother a lot, and what I've learned when playing against Goose is that you cannot take anything for granted. Anything. I was the first person that he handed an elder when he swapped with Princess. You don't take anything for granted against this guy. He is probably the best player on the server, realistically. I think I got saved on several of these. So, like, being up 4-0, yeah, it's typically pretty comfortable. Like, wow, I'm technically one hand away from winning. But then look at what happened.
That's right. The next three hands are some of the most interesting hands we've ever seen, especially at 4-4, where, this is a match. It seemed like that match, were you playing conscientiously around the fool being present? Because it seemed like both you and Goose were playing very much around the fool being in your opponent's hand, and of course it turned out the fool wasn't there at all. So this is the one where he started off with the Judge Inquisitor grabs the queen and then immediately flipped on it. So that's one indicator of, he maybe think you have the fool, or maybe he's just trying to get the queen out. But then you flipped on his flip, and it turned it into a 5v5 brawl where you came out hurting a little bit with two points to him. And it came down to like a final Inquisitor, and that Inquisitor you decided to use on the Elder rather than the King's Hand. Where I think looking at the evaluation, if you had called the King's Hand, assuming that he didn't have the Fool, you would have won with 1 point. But instead, you called out the Elder. Just walk us through what was your mind, what was the mindset there?
You're very right. I should have picked up on that once he flipped on the queen. You're very right there. And me flipping there was, and this kind of goes back to also, however, not taking anything for granted against him. Um, um, I flipped on his flip to play around the fool.
Hmm.
Obviously, I think that's the only reason why you would do that. I haven't thought it through, but I think that's the only reason you would do that. Um, when it comes down to it, so I inquisited the elder. You're saying if I had inquisited King's Hand,
Correct.
I still would have lost.
You would have won, we think, based on the line, because what you do is you get the king's hand out, then you can play princess swap and give him the useless assassin, and then he would have to
Oh,
oathbound
you're right. Yeah,
into
you're right.
oathbound assassin, and then you play the elder on top of that, laughing at him.
You're right. Yeah. And that
Well,
would have been
we're
a one
sitting in
point.
this booth. What happens is
Super easy
it
for
removes
us.
the fog of,
Duh.
so this booth is both plus 10 to intellect and also removes the fog of war debuff. So we get they seem real smart here for
man.
the most part.
I just realized how my cousin used to always do that to make it so it was easier for me.
Oh, really?
That's really nice. Yeah, I guess you guys make it easy for us to be able to see through the fog of war. It's nice. Plus
But-
10 intellect, plus 15 ego.
That's right. Which is we could use the intellect points because both of us that was our dump stat when we rolled our character sheets. But so Yeti,
Were you guys talking to each other, by the way?
A bit, yeah. Like when the game was happening, it was pretty quiet. But while you guys were digesting what had happened after the hands had played out, we were also digesting after the hands played out.
Was
I
there
think.
a visceral reaction at the last hand?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The tension was so thick you couldn't cut it with a knife. Um,
I mean,
yeah.
did,
Like that last hand was a doozy for sure.
when you got dealt that hand, did you think you had a shot at winning the match right there and getting 3 points out of it?
No, not in the slightest. I thought maybe I could do something clever with the warlord. So the way that I saw that hand
Which
was
you did,
okay.
by the way.
Yes, I did. I didn't think it was gonna work, to be honest. Um, I saw that hand and I was like, okay. It- much to my chagrin, talking about the Oathbounds last night, the Oathbounds were very important here to be played as sixes, so that way he couldn't get half of his hand out.
Yeah, you played
Um,
two starts where you played a 6 first.
Yeah, and I felt like that was very prevalent this match. Of like, I looked at his possible cards, I was like, half or more of the possible cards that he could have get boxed out by an Oathbound. That's why I ended up tossing the Inquisitor. Because I was like, what do I want to inquisite? The only thing I would want to inquisite in this hand is a potential princess and a potential king's hand. Why go through all that when I can just Oathbound? He's forced to play a 7, I play a 7. He's forced to play an 8, I play an 8. He's forced to play a 9, I play a 9.
Right. The aggressive squeeze tactic. And I want to mention the thing that was super smart here that I loved was that you played the Oathbound. He played a Mystic. Most players I think would make the error of playing a Warlord here. You went straight to Sentry, which is the right play, because you know that in his hand he doesn't have another 7. So if you play an 8, you're either causing him to play an 8 or have to do something drastic. And in that case, he actually tucked the King's hand, so you forced him to flip. And at that point, it was pretty much, that's all you needed for you to win and come home with a second place or higher placement. So.
Yeah, and this was a magical spot where the Warlord, I mean, technically as a 7 here, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, it would have just been a 7 and it would have won.
Hey,
But
come
the
on,
magical
dude.
thing about Warlord is
it
both
was
Oathbounds.
amazing.
Well,
it was a fan, like, the magical thing about Warlord, I had both Oathbounds and the Zealot. There's only
So you paused for a long time when he played his Elder. So it was Queen, Elder. You just had to play the Warlord to win. I was literally crying. Dan had to hold me, and you were considering potentially flipping there. And if you had flipped there, boy, that would have been disastrous, right? Because he has the Fool.
Yeah, I was about to flip and I was like, fool, can't do that. Always lose that. Okay, so what's going on here? And so, because you have to also imagine I'm sitting there like he's got a princess in his hand. I've lost the
So
game.
you
Game
were
over.
hoping. So you're thinking if I play the Warlord right now, he's gonna play the Princess, and then I can flip on the Princess. Wait, well that would be
No,
bad.
it doesn't
You
work
wanna
because then he
keep-
still fools.
Yes. So you wanted to keep the Warlord and flip early in case you can kill him for sure with the Warlord later.
Well, I never flipped.
I know. I'm saying if you that was the calculus between choosing the Warlord over flipping.
Yeah, kind of. I kind of accidentally buried myself and got lucky, to be honest. Because the thing is, assuming that he had the princess, I gave up number advantage. So
Yes.
my all of my numbers were realistically +1 because he was having to play that number first.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but then in playing the 8, the thing that's really scary about that is now I've lost that number advantage.
Yeah.
Um,
But-
so I really wanted to kind of be wary about playing the fool or like playing around fool. My hope was that um, if he did pull and then flip on the queen, I can flip there. It's kind of a similar thing than maybe fool's the throwaway again. But if that's still the case, I have the zealot, and the zealot's actually a very very good card. It makes up for that for the 8 that I lost.
Yeah.
So now you pick the warlord there. It hits the table. Instantly, of course, the client says you win 7-6. What was the
Yeah.
feeling when you made that selection and saw what had happened as a result of that?
To keep it family friendly, I was like, wow, I got very very lucky.
You said it
Because
like that too.
again,
You
if he,
said, "Wow, that was very lucky. Good game, Goose." And he was like, "Wow, that was great. Good game." And you guys shook hands.
well, I didn't say anything. He was like, oh, like he popped off, which is kind of funny because he was like, no, I was hoping you. He was hoping that I was gonna flip. And he had recognized that I didn't have the princess because if I did have the princess, there wouldn't have been any hesitation.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there just like, is he gonna screw it up? Is he gonna do the bad thing? Is he gonna
Oh,
flip,
man.
flip, 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 flip? So actually, and the hand before this, I've never really had to play like this where it's like, well, this is the only line that could possibly win me the game.
Which is when you got your
So
back against the wall, you know.
when you play too fast and you put your back against the wall,
Yeah, you guys
um,
were flying. Well, so I just wanted to mention, so first of all, congratulations. You're getting a seat over to the grand finals. So far, what you've won is this nice playmat with some cool character art on it.
yo,
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? Look over
that's
here
awesome.
on the top right here. Wait, I don't know where this is. Well, now they can't hear me. Dan.
I can hear you just
I can hear
This is my
I mean, you're a
face.
little muffled, but yeah.
There's the True King signature here, so that's only available to people who win this tournament and in a future Kickstarter. So you don't have to, as I told, the joke I made is that you have to now pledge at a higher tier, because you already have this. The second thing is you have a chance to win a True
Oh,
King
yes.
shirt, as well as
Oh, another playmat.
another playmat. This one, however, is with the little symbol in the top left again. This one is only for tournament winners. So only people who have won an officially sanctioned Rumble.
So you're saying you cannot go and buy that from MinMax Games?
You cannot buy this one. You will not be able to buy this one. You will be able to buy a version of it with the broken crown eventually, but you'll be the first to have the official True King. No other True King has had this one yet, so
Wow. Now the other playmat, can you buy that one from MinMax Games?
you can't buy any of these right now.
Wow. Okay.
This is exclusive to the tournament.
So only tournament participants and winners, folks up on the podium of this tournament, are gonna have these playmats.
And then eventually we'll make the unrestricted ones with the broken crown, so everyone can enjoy having the cool artwork. But
That's awesome.
you're getting the cool stuff, and yeah, I mean, I guess for so that's what you're fighting for, is you're fighting for those extra goodies. What are you gonna do to prep?
What am I gonna do to prep? I
Against
am
the kid.
going to.
Are you gonna hold on?
I'm going to speak to Goose because here's the thing. Goose and I played a lot when we first discovered the game, like a lot, and he dumpstered on me a lot. And then I don't want to say I fell out with the game, but I just got busy. Like running multiple games a day kind of burned me out a little bit. And my brother was like, let's go. So he found a new playmate. This new playmate goes by the name of the Kid.
Oh.
So the thing that's actually kind of funny, I don't think the kid and I have played more than 1 or 2 matches of singles. If we have, it was a long time ago, like more than a year ago. But those two know each other like this. Those two are probably like on the fifth dimensional playing field, like trying to play around each other's play around.
There's actually they both have two. They have two god avatars that are constantly playing for the rest of eternity, and they're just tapping into that energy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's most likely
They're
what's
just
happening,
projecting
yes.
whatever's happening there at that time.
So what you're saying is that you're Piccolo, and you're gonna fuse with Nail and Kami to become Super
Yeah, I'm
Piccolo.
gonna absorb my brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean it's bad news for him. Like I good luck in the afterlife, I guess. But
I mean, he's the one who lost. So
For those who got for those who got 300 episodes in the Dragon Ball Z, that probably made a lot of sense.
okay, you can't like 300 episodes. It's actually not that lot. This guy over here who we're talking to has watched all of One Piece, which means that's a lifetime's worth of anime and manga to be reading.
One Piece.
it's only like 1,200 episodes. It's fine.
1,200.
It's amazing.
That with or without filler.
Oh,
there's
that's
no
with filler.
There's no filler. in
Without
One
filler,
Piece.
you're sitting at
lots
like a
of filler in One
comfortable
No,
Piece.
like.
One Piece is a
There's a whole guide online on how to like skip the filler.
well.
I followed that guide. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a really good guide.
it's a good guide. Yeah.
Yeti, congratulations. We cannot wait to see you in the finals. And yeah, we will schedule that. We will promote it. And we are excited to see you there. That was a hell of a match. And you definitely earned a spot in the finals. And we can't wait to see it.
Congrats again. Can't wait to see you in the finals against the kid. That's going to be an incredible barn burner. Simbu, I think it's going to be 100%
Unmissable.
unmissable, that match.
Don't laugh. It's our tagline.
It's just the way he looks at it. It's gonna be.
Yeah, it is going to be unmissable. People will not make it to the afterlife if they don't come to
It will
this.
be unmissable. It will, Saint Peter at the gates would be like, what the heck did you do that evening?
But
They've been forewarned. Like they have no excuse.
thank you so much, Yeti. We will see you soon in Imposter King Stadium.
It was awesome. Thank you so much. Have
Take
a wonderful night.
Oh, is there any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to the Goose for throwing the 1 point win that I had.
Nice.
Yes.
Very classy.
No, realistically, shout out to him. He's everything that I know about this game is pretty much through him. So, if anybody here actually thinks that I'm kind of good at this game, it's only because of him.
Very good.
We learn from the best.
right.
And congrats again. A very worthy winner of the lower bracket, and good luck in the finals. We're going to be watching with great anticipation.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.
See you around.
So, looking at the bracket here, we now see Yeti has clawed his way from the lower bracket all the way, fighting against Laziness, going through Drip Drop Dando, beating Papaya, and then making his way to, what is it called when it's sibling side?
Oh, our sibling battle?
What is it called when you kill your brother?
Fratricide.
Fratricide, it is.
No.
No, it is.
Yeah,
That's it.
Is your parent? No, that's, fratricide.
No, fratricide.
Yeah,
Good job.
yeah.
Fratricide. And we're going to see Yeti place up against the kid. So this is a Cinderella story. We've got a lower back bracket a contender making his way to the throne. Is he going to be able to stay up there and battle against everyone, or is he going to get disgraced?
Well, there's no disgracing at this point. There's nothing but honor the whole way through. But it is true that only one competitor... Wait, that's the wrong shirt. Only one competitor will walk away with this fine piece of...
The True King shirt and the True King mat. Ladies and gentlemen, be prepared for a killer grand final. We will be announcing in the Discord when that final date will be. So keep yourself ready for that and stay royal.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, if you know anyone who might be interested in watching the finals or getting involved in playing Imposter Kings, you can play it for free and play it at imposterkings.com. We'd love to make this a celebration of all this game is about. So go ahead and work those socials. You know we will.
Yep.
And we're excited to get all those great folks packed into what should be a great match in Imposter King Stadium.
That is right. So it'll be the kid versus the Yeti next time you see us. And thank you all for joining us. This is our sign off. Do you have a thing you say?
I believe stay royal.
Stay royal.
Stay royal, folks.
All right. Stay royal.